Vincent Teoh, que en un ratito más va a empezar a platicar. Vincent es uno de los calibradores profesionales de televisores más importantes en el mundo. Tiene un canal de YouTube que se llama HDTVTest, en donde todos los años hace una comparativa de televisores y muestra de manera muy técnica por qué un televisor tiene cierta calificación contra otro. Entonces, la intención de esto es que Vincent pueda hablarnos de una de las mayores apuestas que tenemos en LG, que es OLED, que venimos empujándola desde hace muchos años y que gracias a esa constancia pues, nos ha hecho ser líderes en pantallas OLED en el mundo. Creo que México y todos los demás países de Latinoamérica han tenido la oportunidad de ver un televisor OLED y cuando lo puedes apreciar y compararlo con una pantalla LCD, ves una diferencia muy clara, pero aún hay muchas dudas acerca de la tecnología y acerca de cómo funciona, qué se puede, qué no se puede, qué cosas ocurren, qué cosas no ocurren. Y creo que para eso está Vincent, que en un momento le doy la palabra y que nos va a explicar un poco más.
Are the slides clear enough for all of you? Is it clear?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay, good, good. So thanks a lot, Daniel. Hello, everyone. My name is Vincent Teoh, and I am a professional calibrator, and I also run a YouTube channel called HDTVTest. I specialize in TV technology. And today, LG Mexico has been kind enough to ask me to host a webinar with the title of The Power of LG OLED TV to try and explain to you the advantages of LG OLED television. First, let's talk about the market in the TV world currently. And when we talk about TVs, generally, there are two main types of technologies at the moment, LED LCD and also OLED or OLED TV. And LG has been with OLED from the start back in 2013. So they come out with the world's first large-sized 55-inch OLED television, and they have continued to persevere and develop OLED, throughout the years until this year, 2020. And that's why when we think about OLED, it is automatically, naturally that we think about LG. LG, the brand name, has become synonymous with OLED, and this has great advantages, as I will explain, in the following few slides. But another point is that all the OLED TVs on the market currently, let's say from Sony, let's say from Panasonic, let's say from Philips, let's say from Vizio, they all source their OLED panel from LG Display, which is a company a subsidiary owned by LG Electronics. So even though there are many OLED brands on the market, you have to understand that all those OLED panels, the OLED panel, come from LG Display. And that's why I think in consumers' minds, OLED has now become synonymous with LG. So I wanted to try and make it easy to explain the advantages of OLED, not only OLED, but specifically LG OLED, using a very simple to remember system, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And we will use these characters to signify a certain type of attribute, a certain area where LG OLED is excellent. So let's start with A. With A, naturally, we go with viewing angle. Now, if we look at the direct competitor to OLED, it is going to be LED LCD. LED LCD, they generate light by using a backlight. So the backlight is always on. And to create black, the liquid crystals, have to be twisted, polarized to polarize the light and to block the light to create black. And as a direct result of this twisting of the liquid crystal, the viewing angle cannot be as good as OLED. OLED is self-emissive. What do I mean by self-emissive? Every pixel on the TV can be turned on and off independently of each other. So you can have one pixel here that is black and another pixel here that is white. And they can generate the white and the black at the same time without actually contaminating, without polluting each other. And therefore, because of this, you can create a wider viewing angle with the OLED, but on the LED LCD, because they are using liquid crystal to block the light, to create light, they have limited viewing angle. And I'm sure if you have actually seen OLED TVs and also LED LCD TVs in stores or even in your home, you will appreciate that with OLED TVs, the viewing angle is much wider. The blacks and the colors, they still maintain themselves when you look from an angle. Whereas with LED LCD, when you step just off axis, the blacks will become grayer and the colors will become washed out. Next, we go on to B, and B stands for blacks, obviously. And again, I wanted to just point out the advantages of being self-emissive. What OLED is pixel dimming, which means that every single pixel can be dimmed can be controlled independently of each other. Whereas with LED LCD, they operate in zones. By zones, I mean they have to split up the. In fact, I'll use this magic remote. So they have to actually split up the backlight into different zones. And because there can never be as many zones as an OLED TV, sometimes you get this striping, this haloing artifact, because they are trying to light up this, let's say this comet here, they're trying to light up this comet here, but because there is not enough zones, therefore the whole strip lights up. And it's the same here as well, because they're trying to light up this logo, but because they operate in much larger zones, the whole area have to light up, and therefore creating this what we call haloing or blooming artifacts. Whereas with OLED TV, I forgot to actually I introduced myself, but I forgot to introduce this television. This is the LG 65-inch CX or C10 OLED TV. This is LG's most popular 2020 model. It has Alpha 9 Generation 3 processor and a lot of other features that I shall talk about later. But it is a 4K set, which means that it has more than 8 million pixels on the screen. And as I mentioned earlier, every single pixel can be light up or switched off independent of each other. And that's why this comet here, right, it can actually light it up without polluting this area here. And you get this really crystal clear image. And the same with this logo here. It can light up all these pixels individually very precisely without polluting the rest of the image, unlike LED LCD. Is everyone clear on that? C stands for colors. And, again, this comes down to how the light is generated. So let's say with OLED TV, because it is self-emissive, all the light, can be generated by itself. Whereas with LED LCD, the blacks are not going to be as deep, so it becomes gray. So when you want to display a red object with the inky black, you can make the red more saturated. But because on LED LCD, there is always a backlight that is on. So when you want to actually paint the color red, the backlight have to be added. The color of the backlight has to be added to the color red. So let's say if your blacks are not truly black like OLED, on an LED LCD, let's say that it is grayish, then it will make the colors become less pure. It will make it look even pinkish. It doesn't look as red and saturated as an OLED television. D stands for design. Again, because OLED itself is self-emissive. What self-emissive means is that it doesn't require a backlight. So without the backlight, there is a lot of possibility in terms of the design. So the panel doesn't need to be that bulky. And here, what I'm actually showing is the LG GX or G10 OLED television. And it is a very impressive piece of engineering, because what LG Electronics has done is to shrink the panel, even including the speakers and the power supply, into only, say, 15mm thick. And when you hang it on the wall, it looks like a painting, which is why they call it gallery painting. And, it really is, if you had the chance to actually see it installed, either in stores or even LG's office, or even, in your own home, it is really impressive, because, it just hangs on the wall without any say bulkiness, without any thickness that can actually detract you from the picture on screen. And also LG does a wallpaper television, which is even thinner, but the wallpaper television will have a separate soundbar with all the processing, and probably it will be more expensive as well, which is why I think the LG GX will make more sense for the general consumers. And when you talk about the design of the OLED, the most premium design is the rollable OLED. Some of you may have actually seen it, from CES when LG showed off the rollable OLED television that can actually roll up and down the box itself. And it is very, very impressive, but it's not cheap either. It's very expensive. So let's go to E then. And E, I wanted to use E to try and explain how easy it is to use an LG OLED TV. I don't know whether you or someone else, someone in your family have used other smart TV system. I think, there are a few factors that make, LG's WebOS system so easy to access, so easy to use. So if you press just one button on the remote control, it will bring up all these apps, that you can just like scroll here and there and then click on it. And even better is this magic remote here. I have been using the magic remote, the cursor, to point out different things, as I was doing my presentation. Now, I wanted to actually show you how easy it is to use this magic remote. Let's say if you wanted to type a password, right? So let's say, I'm going to fire up Rakuten TV. I'm not sure whether this app is available in Mexico or other Latin American countries. But, if I fired it up, I haven't actually signed in, and I wanted to actually sign in. So let's say if I wanted to sign in, and to type the password, normally what you need to do is to use the remote control and, slowly go through here and there, okay? But with the magic remote, what you can do is to just go to, so my username would be Vincent, if I can find it. So VINCENT at HDTV test. So you can see, just how easy and intuitive it is to actually type in your username and also your password using this magic remote. And another advantage of the magic remote is, let's say if I actually fire up Netflix, right? Some of you may be using Netflix or YouTube or things like that. I'll just switch off the volume, sorry. And then let's say if I wanted to play a scene, okay? So if I wanted to play a scene. Now on other smart TV platforms, when you want to actually play a scene like this, if you want to fast forward, you have to slowly click through. And, I've used other smart TV. Let's say, I was reviewing the Panasonic or the Sony OLED TV last month, and when I actually want to fast forward, because when I test televisions, I want to fast forward to a specific scene, and I have to slowly, go forward like this. But with the LG Magic Remote, what you can do is to just jump to here and start playing. It's amazing. To me, it is amazing. It is a user interface, marvel that, I can actually just jump to whatever screen, and then just start playing. And then, let's say if I actually wanted to jump here, and then I can just start playing here. So from that point of view, I think the user interface is amazing. And I think that the Magic Remote certainly has a lot of advantages to try and make the life as a consumer really, really easy. And also there is a voice remote or ThinQ AI built into the system as well. So let's get out from the Netflix and go back to my presentation. So I think we are at easy to use. So what I wanted to demonstrate to you is that, you can use your voice assistant to actually control the television and to ask the television various questions. So let's say if I actually wanted to ask, what is the weather in Mexico today?
In Mexico City today, there will be scattered thunderstorms with a forecasted high of 25 and a low of 13.
So
currently it's 16 degrees with fog.
Okay, so I don't know whether this is accurate or not, because I'm based in the UK and you are based in Mexico. But I think, I am really jealous of this sort of temperature. Here in the UK, it's probably 5 degrees at the moment. So 25 is very, very good for me. But, you can use the ThinQ AI system to try and ask the TV any question. And it also has like Alexa built in as well. So let's say if I press this button here, Alexa, play some Justin Bieber song.
Shuffling songs by Justin Bieber on Amazon Music.
Okay, so hopefully that will demonstrate to you, just how powerful, just how easy to use like the LG OLED is, especially the 2020 version. It has ThinQ AI, and it has also the Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant built in. And on the AI front, when you talk about AI, the AI processor on the TV is also used for other functions as well, such as the picture. It will actually analyze the picture and boost the contrast slightly and increase the realism and the lifelikeliness. And from the sound point of view, there is an AI Sound Pro function as well, where the AI processor will be detecting the content and determine whether this is speech, this is music, and adjust the EQ automatically to give a better audio experience to the user. And next, we move to F, which is the fast pixel response. So from this slide here, what I wanted to actually show you is the difference in the pixel response time of LED LCD and OLED. Because LED LCD, again, depends on the liquid crystal twisting. When they try and switch from, let's say, black to white and back to black again, they will have a very slow response time because they need to twist the pixel and wait for the colors to actually be generated before the picture can appear on screen. With OLED, because all the colors and the contrast is generated by the pixel itself without any other elements such as liquid crystal to twist the screen, the pixel response time is extremely fast. It is up to 1,000 times faster than LED LCD. And that's sorry, did someone say something?
No, please go on.
All right. Sorry, I heard something in the background. So the pixel response time of OLED is up to 1,000 times faster than LED LCD, and therefore on LED LCD you may see some motion artifacts. So let's say if I can actually point out, like, because they are driving the pixel in a stronger manner, this is what is called overdrive artifact. So you get this brightening in the front, and then at the back here you get a smearing because the pixel just can't switch fast enough. Whereas with an OLED TV, these are actually photos that I've actually taken, by the way, using a motion pursuit camera. So, and on an OLED, once you get the settings correct, it is very clean. Look at how clean it is. It is basically clearer and cleaner than LED LCD because of the extremely fast pixel response time. And with G, it is going to be gaming. And this year, I think, there are so many great gaming opportunities, especially not only for TV manufacturers, but also for consumers as well. This year, it's really the golden age of gaming. Maybe I should put like G for golden, but this year there is like the Xbox Series X coming out, there is the Sony PS5 coming out, and NVIDIA has already released their RTX 3080 and 3090 graphics cards. And with all these HDMI 2.1 sources in terms of gaming, it is really quite explosive. I think, if you don't follow the gaming scene, I think it may surprise you to learn that the gaming industry is actually even larger than Hollywood. The blockbusters games, they actually make more money. Let's say Modern Warfare, let's say Call of Duty or GTA. They make Grand Theft Auto. They make more money than a Hollywood blockbuster because it is so many people are into gaming these days. And with OLED, and especially with LG OLED, the gaming advantages are massive versus LED LCD television. So first of all, it supports NVIDIA G-Sync. So the 2019 and 2020 LG OLED TVs, including the CX here, they have been certified by NVIDIA as G-Sync compatible. G-Sync is a form of VRR, or variable refresh rate. What it means is that the TV can sync up its refresh rate according to the game. So it doesn't need to be fixed to, say, 60 hertz or 120 hertz. It can be 72 hertz. It can be 54 hertz. And then, the image will become really, really smooth. And also, LG OLED TVs have the lowest input lag among OLED TV manufacturers on the market. It is only 13 milliseconds with a 60 frames per second signal, going down to 6.5 milliseconds, with a 120 hertz video signal. And also, I wanted to point out the difference between gaming on an OLED versus gaming on an LED LCD. So with LED LCD, to get better picture quality, they have to use local dimming. But local dimming requires a lot of picture processing. With OLED TV, you don't really need local dimming. So even if you engage game mode, so game mode is necessary to cut down video processing and achieve the lowest input lag, so that when you start playing, let's say if you turn a controller, let's say if you are playing Modern Warfare or Call of Duty or Gears of War 5, when you turn, a lower input lag will mean that you will turn faster and you can start shooting your enemy faster. Whereas, if you have a really high input lag, when you turn the corner, you're already dead because, you are turning slower than your opponent. So from that point of view, a lower input lag will result in a better gaming experience. Now, to achieve a low input lag, you need to enable game mode, and game mode will cut down video processing, lower the input lag. But with LED LCD, if you cut down video processing, the local dimming suffers as well. And that's why on many LED LCD televisions, especially Samsung QLED TVs, when you enable game mode, the picture becomes really washed out. The blacks become really gray because the local dimming is no longer firing effectively. Whereas with OLED TV, even if you engage game mode, even if you take away all the video processing, blacks are still going to be blacks, right? The viewing angle is still going to be really wide because these properties are inherent in OLED. They can generate the light without needing local dimming. They can generate blacks without local dimming. And that's the advantage of OLED versus LED LCD from the gaming point of view. And H is naturally HDMI 2.1. And I think, LG has been, the pioneer in HDMI 2.1 since 2019. And in 2019, they were the first and only manufacturer to implement HDMI 2.1 ports on their OLED TVs. And in 2020, they continue to do that. Not only they support HDMI 2.1, they support it on all 4 ports. They support it on all 4 ports. So HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3, and HDMI 4. All 4 ports are HDMI 2.1 capable and capable of supporting 4K at 120 Hz. This is an advantage, especially when you compare with Samsung's 2020 QLED televisions, which only support HDMI 2.1 and 4K at 120 Hz on 1 port. The Sony XH90, LED LCD or X900H, they only have 2 ports. And if you have 4 ports, this means that, you can connect multiple HDMI 2.1 devices to the TV separately without needing to swap the cables here and there. So let's say if you buy a PS5, if you get an Xbox Series X, if you have a separate PC with an NVIDIA RTX 3090 card, you can connect it to separate ports. So PS5 here, Xbox Series X here, and then the PC here, and then you still have 1 port for eARC or enhanced ARC. So it is a massive advantage having 4 HDMI ports, whereas on other TVs, if you only have 1 port and you want to actually connect both the PS5 and Xbox Series X, it means that you have to buy a separate receiver with HDMI 2.1 to plug it in and plug it to the television. So from that point of view, I think the 4 HDMI 2.1 ports on the LG 2020 OLED TVs, including this C10 or CX, certainly has its benefits. So let's sum up very, very quickly. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Hopefully, I've made it fairly easy and clear for you to understand the advantages of LG OLED TV. A is for viewing angle, B is for blacks, C for colors, D for design, E for ease of use, F for fast pixel response, and G for gaming, H for HDMI 2.1. And I think that's my presentation, and I hope that it is fairly clear to you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can.
Thank you very much, Vincent. It was an amazing presentation, and I'm pretty sure that for me and for many media friends, they have too many questions to give to you. So